Story 1. I'm Aaron, 32, from Kodiak, Alaska. I work late nights running a little maritime equipment repair shed by the docks. I know, boring, but it's me and my toolbox and the harbor wind. I've never told anyone this before. I got to work around midnight, alone. The tide was low, wind whipping off the water. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I swear I heard footfalls behind the shed before I opened the door. I shrugged it off. Stray cat, seagull. I turned on the old fluorescent lamp overhead. Flicker. Too quiet. Just the hum of the lamp and the creak of the boat hulls on the docks. I started an overhaul on a winch motor. Oil leaked, reddish, rusty. I wiped it off, got a nick on my finger. A few drops of blood pooling. In hindsight, that blood felt wrong. Coldish. Maybe I'm seeing patterns now. Around 1 a.m., I heard breathing, very soft, like someone exhaling behind the door. I remember stopping mid-screwdriver twist. My hands shook. I thought, this is insane. There was no one. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I could swear I saw a shadow flicker in the corner of the window. I told myself, the reflection. My head bent over the bench. I turned back to the workbench and heard a whisper. Maybe my name. I know this sounds crazy, but I swear it said Aaron. I froze. Sorry, don't say I froze. But I hesitated, voice stuck. I couldn't decide whether to call out. I told myself it was the wind slapping the door. Then I heard footsteps inside the shed, like someone walking across the concrete. Louder. I grabbed a crescent wrench and stood up. My heart was racing. I said out loud, "Who's there?" And there was silence. No echo. I know it sounds insane. My memory jumps. I sprinted to the corner, saw a long smear of blood across the floorboards near the heater. Fresh, glistening. I followed it slowly, my breath ragged. It led to the back wall, where the wooden planks were splintered, like someone tried to break through. I could smell copper and something metallic. I'm thinking, maybe I'm losing it. But that smear looked human. I remember tugging the lamp closer, hands trembling. I recalled my buddy Jack drove me up here once. He said local fishermen told him tales of a figure stalking the docks at night. Pale face, no eyes, leaving stains. I thought he was pulling my leg. Now I wonder. I backed away, wrench in hand, blood still dripping, and the breathing returned. Not my breath, heavy, uneven, from behind the broken wall. I didn't hear a voice, just air shifting. Panic surged, and I ducked under a workbench as something moved past the crack, silent. I know it sounds crazy, but I swear I felt a shadow brush my arm, even though nothing was visible. Time unraveled. I think I screamed, or maybe I yelped. I crawled out and hurried to the door. The handle was warm, sticky. As I turned it, I looked back, inside the shed. The blood had pooled in weird shapes, like letters spelling something. My memory blurs, but I think it looked like run. I bolted outside into the fog-shrouded dock. Rain started. I slipped, scraped my knees, got more cuts, pain sharp like reminders. I looked back through the shed windows. Light flickered inside. No shape, just empty. I called Jack, voice shaky. He said drive to his place inland. He lived near Chiniak. I did. On the way, I thought, am I forgetting details? Exaggerating? But I still had the wound on my finger, the sting, and I bled into the car seat. I kept glancing rear-view mirror, expecting, I don't know what. A figure looming behind the seat. Nothing. At Jack's place, he ushered me in, applied antiseptic. I tried to explain, but words tangled. I told him I found blood in the shed. He looked alarmed. He asked if I reported it. I said no. I didn't even want to call police. It felt real, but unreal. Maybe it would sound crazy. We went back together before dawn. The shed door was ajar. Outside, no bloody smear. Inside, only scattered oil and metal dust. No human blood. The winch motor I'd been working on was intact. No broken wall. No weird pooling. It looked untouched. I felt ashamed. Maybe I was hallucinating. Maybe I sliced my finger messing around and imagined the rest. Jack insisted something's off. The manager came next day, saw no damage. He said the cameras showed no one entering or leaving the dock behind the shed after 11 p.m. That chilled me. My work log showed I was there until 1 a.m. alone. All checked. No alarms. No other reports. I keep recalling my own guilt. Maybe I accidentally cut myself, bled, panicked, and imagined a break-in. Yet the blood smear shape, I know that image won't let me rest. I drew it once in sketchbook. Spidery letters. I've washed stain from my sleeve, but the memory bleeds through. I still feel watched at night when I close the dock door. Sometimes I swear I hear breath behind me. I can't figure what to believe. Part of me thinks I made it up. Part of me knows something real happened. And I keep waiting for something to show up when I least expect it. The manager dismissed me, asked if I wanted paid time off. I did quiet my shifts. I took leave. I stayed inland for a week. Came back tonight. The shed is empty. The lamp flickers. I touch the heater. Cool. Everything seems normal. But in the corner I found one drop of dark red stain on the floorboard. Not rust, not oil. It's real. I don't feel safe ever being alone here. I sleep with the windows boarded. I keep my wrench by the bed. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But whatever it was, I didn't stop it, and I don't know what it is yet. Story 2. I'm Blake, 29, Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm a seasonal park ranger at a remote trailhead cabin out by Denali's foothills. I've never mentioned this before. It doesn't make sense, even to me. I started last week, alone in the patrol cabin. I arrived at dusk, unloaded gear, rain-slick entrance. I remember stepping inside and flicking on one bulb. It buzzed. The cabin is old pine logs, not fancy. I grabbed coffee, looked out the window. Woods. Quiet. Too quiet, maybe. First night, I thought I heard scratching on the outer wall. Not nails on wood. More like claws dragging. I frowned. Thought raccoon or bird nesting. But it sounded soft. I know this sounds crazy, but I swore it paused when I opened the blinds. I told myself I'm tired, jet-lagged from the drive north. Next morning, I walked trail with one colleague, Maria, who lives in town. She's the only company I'll get today. We chatted about shift logistics, radio schedule. It was misty. Woods felt dense. She jokingly pointed at old sign, bear sightings. I laughed. But after she left, I wandered off trail to inspect something. A footprint in soft muck, too big for deer foot, and I found tiny blood drops on the fern leaves. Red, bright. I knelt. No smell, just color. My thoughts spun. I cut myself digging gear earlier, but this looked animal-like. I got up quick, told myself it's nothing. Back at cabin, I rinsed the footprint from memory. I didn't log it, felt uneasy admitting it even to paper. Second night, I slept in bunk bed. I could hear branches scraping the roof above. I didn't check the camera. I tried to ignore it. Maybe storm. I rolled over, heart thudding. I woke to a thump inside the cabin, near the door. I sat upright. No door alarms. My radio had lost signal. Power flicked. I thought, maybe fuse. I remembered drawer where fuses are. They vanished. I swear they vanished. I looked and smelled copper, metallic. My palms sticky. I frowned, touched pants, one smear. Couldn't tell if mine. My thoughts jumped. Did I bump wall? Was I sleepwalking? Maybe I imagined it. Morning came too soon. Battery was low. I checked logs. No power blip. Camera footage, 0. No other ranger by. Signal cut from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when thump happened. I wandered trail next day, carrying bare pepper spray useless. I found more drops, this time deeper blood, leading off trail into dense woods. I followed carefully. My head throbbed. I told myself to turn back, but curiosity dragged. Leaves parted. I glimpsed what looked like a pale shape hunched behind spruce. Flesh reflection? I blinked. It disappeared. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but the sight of something half-naked, pale skin, unnatural. I panicked, tripped back, scraped knee, scraped hand, fresh slices, bleeding. Smell copper again. My inner voice raced. I shouldn't be out here. The shape I saw, it didn't move like animal. It looked human, but wrong. I staggered back to cabin. I locked door. Lamp, flicker. I checked rifle. It had no rounds. I buried that detail. I thought I moved them to clean rack, but clicking open, it was empty. I stared. Could be oversight, but maybe something came in and took them. That night, I hardly rested. I shoved logs into fire pit, covered windows. I whispered, I know this sounds insane. I repeated, It's just wilderness. Paranoia. I peeked through boarded window. Dark woods. Branch shadows. Nothing. But I felt watched. A pulse in silence. Third morning, I woke busted sleep. Chair knocked over. Blood drops on bench. Smear, like someone dragged something across wood. I swear I didn't do that. I checked the bed. Sheet rash, clinging. Was drifting off, I guess. Maybe I rolled into drawer. I packed up and called base. Said, I'm done. Headed back to Fairbanks. On drive, I saw tracks on road. Large footprints, odd shape, too wide. They disappeared into ditch. I thought, maybe elk? No. Finger-width toes. I panicked, turned off road. In town, I went to hospital for the wounds. They cleaned stitches. I told nurse fall from step. She looked at me odd. I didn't tell police. Rancher friend offered to accompany me to return to cabin for gear. I agreed because guilt. I felt I needed to face it. Back at cabin midday, with friend tagging along. Nothing. No blood, no footprints inside, no door damage, no trail disturbance. Gear untouched. Ranger logs clean. Cameras showed no breach. It looked peaceful. He looked at me, concerned. Asked if I wanted counseling. I said no. We left. Now I keep waking up with bruises not there before. I dream of pale shape dragging me into woods. I track every detail but blur. I feel guilt. I feel dread. I grapple. Did I hallucinate? Did something follow me into town? Is it inside? My friend asked if I'd seen bear or wolf. I said no, but I whispered maybe worse. He didn't press. Tonight I haven't slept. I hear rain against my window in Fairbanks apartment. I keep checking shadows. I have pepper spray next to bed. I feel one drop on my hand even now. A bruise or memory. The cabin remains empty in my mind, but haunted. I don't know whether it's stress, isolation, or something real. I keep thinking, next shift? I might go back someday. Or I might not. I don't want to leave it unresolved, but I feel unsettled by what I might find, or what might find me first. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But whatever this was, I didn't stop it. And I don't think I'm done with it yet. Story 3. I'm Tyler, 31, Nome, Alaska. I run a tiny roadside diner just off the highway that cuts through the tundra. I don't usually share this, but I've only lost sleep since it happened. It started a month ago. I was working the night shift, alone. My assistant quit. I was scrubbing counters, flicking neon lights over a greasy griddle, waiting for the last customer to show. The diner used to feel familiar. The chrome stools, the smell of coffee. That night, it felt heavy. At around 11:30 p.m., a stranger walked in. No hat, soaked coat, pale face, eyes rimmed red. He didn't order. He just sat at booth 6 in corner. I glanced. Nothing. Then, odd, I thought I saw him bleeding, but the table was dry. No cut. I know this sounds crazy, but I swear the booth seat had a smear like old blood before he sat down. I figured, maybe spilled steak juice, but inside I froze. Or wait, I hesitated. I rubbed it off with napkin. Gone. I convinced myself I hallucinated. He looked at me with almost question. I tried small talk. He didn't reply. He just stared at the empty plate in front of him, unbroken, like he expected food that never arrived. My voice trembled. I asked if he wanted coffee. No movement. I told him, "I'll be right with you." He stood then, left, and slipped out the back door. No jingle of bell, just soft hush. I exhaled. I swept out the booth plate, but I found a thin, red line newly stained across the edge of the table. Not on cloth, on varnish. I panicked slightly. I looked to windows. No footprints in snow. No open door. Nothing. I locked the back door, rattled in cold wind. I kept coffee warm for next customer. 2 hours later, I looked back at booth 6. Plate was gone. Chair pulled out. Seat cushion wet and bloody. Fresh. I touched it. Sting. My palm reddened. I washed hands in sink. No cut. Maybe I spilled my coffee? No. It was hot, not red. Then I heard footsteps behind the service window, very soft, like taps on tile. I swung around. Nothing. No bells, no customers. The radio blinked off. My heart pounded. I said, "Hello?" But only silence. I rushed to kitchen, grabbed flashlight, peeked through back door glass. Nothing but snow drifting under neon flicker. I snapped back inside. The front door chime rang. I instinctively moved to greet, but no one there. The freezer door creaked open slowly behind me. I tooled myself, storm wind, but sealed as I just checked. Morning light came. I locked up early. I walked outside to linger on skid marks. No prints, no traces on snow. Booth 6 looked untouched from outside. Windows fogged slightly. I felt guilt I hadn't cleaned thoroughly. No blood visible in daylight. I asked friend Casey. She'd been here years. I described stranger. She said she never saw him in logs. No sign of odd attendance. Manager reviews. None mention missing plate or weird guest. Diner cameras record, but feed blank for 2 hours. That night, from midnight until 2, that's when things glitched. I didn't upload those frames to cloud. They just vanished. People say I'm paranoid. Maybe I overworked. I kept replaying memories. The smear I wiped off before he sat. Sweat pooling on the seat. Metallic sting on my palm. I almost convinced myself none of it happened. Then 2 days ago, I started finding items out of place. Order slips and trash shifted to table. Napkins moved. Coffee pot half empty, though I didn't pour that day. And worst, I began noticing droplets on floor, leading to booth 6, tiny, red. I followed. They stopped mid-aisle, turned toward kitchen. I pulled up floor tile. Nothing underneath. I felt watched. That evening I kept eyes locked on booth 6. I set cleaning cloth, brushing placemat toward booth. The pad curled inward on its own, but I dismissed wind inside. Then I saw him again, just reflection in window when cleaning glass. Same soaked coat, pale face, red shadowed eyes. He looked behind me. I turned. Nobody. But cushion soaked. I looked back to window. He was gone. I spilled water on floor trying to clean it, but that drop of red was under cloth. I blotted. It reappeared after I lifted cloth. I whispered, I know this sounds crazy. My mind scattered thinking, is it me doing this? A sleepwalk? A prank? But I'm alone. Last night I closed early. Before lockup, I walked back to kitchen to grab jacket. I stepped near booth 6. Under seat, a smudged footprint. Not human, but elongated. Finger-like toes pressed in red. I recoiled, stumbled. My knee hit bench. Pain sharp. My memory flickered. I recall thinking maybe I glimpsed him, but can't be sure. I called Casey from car. She didn't answer. Then I messaged manager. Got weird lights on feed. Please check. He texted later. Nothing unusual. Footage same as usual. I felt nauseous. I didn't sleep. I tossed in motel room. Dawn I drove town road clear of snow. But on bench seat I found cloth napkin folded neatly, with one drop of blood on corner. Not mine. I gagged, tossed it. I keep doubting my own mind. I found new bruise on wrist this morning. Dark, crescent-shaped. I don't smash windows, hit walls. I don't self-harm. I don't drink, still bruise. Tonight I'm here again. The diner, silent. Rain on windows, not snow. Fog over headlights. I sit at booth 6 now, wiping tabletop. I'm trembling. I see smudge, circle like fingerprint. I trace with fingernail, smears deeper. I glance at kitchen door. Shadow crosses. No sound. I stare until it melts. I thought telling you all this might free me, but maybe not. Maybe I'm hungry for an ending. I don't want to find the stranger again, but I keep waiting. A knock at back door, a smear appearing on chair, a scratch in booth cushion only I see. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But the blood, the bruise, the missing videotape, they're real, and I don't know if I'm the only one who sees him anymore, or if he wants me back inside that diner forever. And maybe he already got me. The night shift starts soon. I open the door. Flip sign to open. Heater hums. I sit. I wait. I don't expect it to end.